There's different versions. So for 2010, for backwards compatibility, you'll see v4.master file still there, and then there's mws default v4.master. And then there's new master pages for 2013. There's the oslo.master, seattle.master, and then actually Microsoft went ahead and just included a minimal.master because they knew people would want to create master pages that were basically just blank but had all the correct placeholders in there that SharePoint requires. And so that's been included. Now in SharePoint there's lots of different locations for the master pages. So in a site, the main place is the master page gallery. So master page gallery is just _catalogs / master page. It could also be in the SharePoint root, meaning the 15 hive. So it could be in the template folder under global, template layouts, or template admin. Template admin, that's where all the files live for central administration. So the master page that's used for central admin lives there. And then custom master pages that are in the SharePoint root, the way you create custom master pages is you put them in a feature and you deploy the master pages via a module. That's one way. You could do a custom site template, so you could actually create a master page. If you wanted to, you could create a master page in SharePoint Designer, and then and that would save it into the site automatically, and then you could just save that site as a template and then use that template to, when you create new sites, you'll have the new master page there because it's already in the template. So just like we saw on ASP.NET, when we created the content pages, we had to make sure that it was associated with the correct master page. And in SharePoint, there's a master page attribute, so we use the master page file, and it's just the same thing as ASP.NET. Actually, we just looked at that in the previous demo, but there's a special token called master URL, and it's dynamic, so you can say master URL default.master or master URL custom.master. And then you can have it static as well. So static just means you're pointing to the actual URL of a file, and the two tokens that you see here, site and site collection, those both correspond to the URL of the particular site. So the SP web basically for the site, and then the site collection is just basically that's the root web of the site. That's the URL of the root web is what site collection is. So for default master, if you want to set that programmatically, you can use the master URL property. So a common thing is in sometimes if you're deploying a master page and you want to, after you deploy the file, let's say for example you provision a master page using a module into the master pages gallery, and that's done in a inside of a feature. Well, you may want to have a feature receiver that goes ahead and changes the master URL to be that new master page that you use. Now, one thing that's important about master URL is that's the property that's used by all the system pages. So, like when you go to site settings or site context, that's the master page it's using, is whatever's been defined for master URL. So any of the list forms, site settings, web part pages, site context. In team sites, that's the only master page you use out of the box. Now I say out of the box. As soon as you turn on publishing, so you can have publishing turned on in a team site. So as soon as you activate the publishing feature at the site collection level and at the site level, now you get to use the custom master URL. What that custom master URL lets you do is it basically splits the master pages up. So you can say, okay, for my content pages, I want to use this master page, but for all the system pages, I want to use a different master page, maybe just the default.master for the system pages. Or you may say, no, we want branding on everything. We want our branding on all the system pages as well as all the content pages. So in that case, you would set the web.custom-master URL, and you would also set spweb.master URL property as well. Again, the custom master URL is used by all the publishing pages and publishing sites. What we're going to do in this next demo is deploy a master page with a module and a feature that will set the site's new master page to the one that was just defined. Okay, I've just opened up Visual Studio, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solution here, new project. And I'm just going to create a blank solution for chapter 10. That's what I'll call it. And I'll create a new project here. Create an empty project. We'll call it, let's call it chapter 10 also. It'll be a farm solution. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an existing master page and modify it, and then we're going to deploy it using a module. So I'm going to go into, let's see, I'll create a, add a new item. I'm going to add a module. I'll call it master pages. Get that out of there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the existing master pages. So I'm going to we'll take Seattle.master. I'm going to copy that, paste it into our solution here, and then I'm going to rename it. Visual Studio is trying to communicate with SharePoint. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I didn't want to open it, I just want to rename it first. I'll just call it My Seattle. Now we'll open it up, and I'm just going to throw in a div with a little, just some text in here. I'll just say this is my master page, so it should show up once we deploy this and set it as the master page for the site. Okay. Alright, that looks good. Now I need to set this to be correct. So fix the URL, and then we need to make sure that it's Ghostable. Ghostable in the library. Okay. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is, let's go back in our markup here. I'm going to put, just so we can see this a little bit better, I'll just put an H1 tag around this. I'll just make it show up a little bit easier for us to see. First of all, let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's make sure that we're deploying it to the right place. So right now it's not going anywhere, so we need to tell it to go, we need to set its URL to the master pages gallery. So we'll set to underscore catalogs master page. So we're set to go to the master page gallery. And what I'm going to do now is I just want to deploy this first. So let's build it and we'll deploy the solution. And this is just testing to make sure that it's made it into the master page gallery, that it provisioning this master page file into that library. So let's take a look. I'll open up the site. Okay, so it did make it in here. Here's my Seattle.master. So that's the file that we just provisioned. So that's working. Okay, so I like to just test things out right away just to make sure that part works. Now what we're going to do is we need to add a feature receiver. So I'll add an event receiver for feature activated. I want to get rid of these because we're not going to use these, so I just like to keep everything clean in the code. But we are going to use these. So we'll uncomment that. And we may or may not use this one. We'll go ahead and uncomment. Okay, so now what we need to do is this feature receiver is going to, when it activates, it's going to go ahead and set the master URL. So let's do this. We'll say URL equals actually I'm gonna create a method here first. It's like a little helper method here to make sure that we get the right path to our master page. So what we're doing is we're accounting for when the server relative URL is either the root, so if it's like the root site collection, which would just be a /, or if it's like underneath like /sites / whatever the name of the site is. So this will take care of that dilemma. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get it. We'll need to get an instance of our web. Okay, so what we're doing is we're setting the master URL property. Now, one thing we can check here on the site, I believe I have publishing turned on, but I want to double check that. So I'm going to go to the features of the site collection and just see if publishing is turned on. I don't need it for this part, but I will need it later, so I just want to make sure I have it. So, okay, SharePoint server publishing infrastructure is turned on, so that's good. Next, I'm going to go back to the site features, double check that as well. And it's turned on. Server publishing is turned on. Okay, that's good. Okay. Next thing, let's check. Let's go to the site settings, master page. So right now we are set to use Seattle, and then the system master page is also using Seattle. So system master page is the master page URL property, and then the site master page is the custom master URL. So we don't really need to do too much with this right now. This is what we're going to set programmatically right here. And let's just make sure we have my Seattle.master spelled correctly. Okay, so we're going to deploy this now. And this should set my Seattle.master as the master URL or the system master page for the site. So we won't see it on the home page. It's going to take a while for this to come up because we've deployed the solution. It's has to reset the IIS application. So it's tearing it down, has to tear it down and build it back up. Where we should see it is when we go to site settings. That's when we should see our page. And so, wow, that's okay. It came up now. So we don't see it here, but if we go to site settings, should see it. So I'm not seeing it here, but that might be okay. It might be hidden. So I'm going to do F12. And I'm going to do a search for that text. I'm just going to look for this is my. let's check one more thing. It may not be set, so let's go into the master page. Okay, it looks like it never got set. Okay, so that means, okay, let's check this. Let's activate this feature again. Let's make sure that that feature got activated. Go to site settings, go to first of all, let's look at our feature. Scoped at the web. Okay, so that's incorrect. We need to scope it at the site collection. We want this to take effect for the whole site collection. So let's deploy this again. Well, actually, let's go back to site collection features. Back to not site collection features, but our site features. Chapter 10 will deactivate it. Okay. Now let's deploy it again. Okay, that's good. That's good because our parent is an SP site. So we're going to do this. We'll just say site.rootweb. Okay, let's try deploying this again. So while we're waiting for that, it's a good idea when you deploy master pages that you do it as a site collection feature and that you target the root web of the site collection. If you just do it as a web feature, then people can activate that. I mean, unless you want, if that's your intention to have it be available in every web. Typically, standard practice, best practice is put it in the root of the site collection, the master page gallery of the root of the site collection. Okay, so let's go in the site settings and let's go to master page. So it still hasn't set our master page yet, so we're going to debug and see what's going on here. It should be setting it here, so what I'm going to do is go back into site settings, site collection features. I'm going to deactivate the feature, and now I want to debug this. Choose all the W3, WP processes. Don't know exactly which one it is, but I know that's the one. SharePoint uses that. Okay. I'm going to activate that feature now and see if we hit our breakpoint. Hopefully we can hit the breakpoint. Looks like it's gonna enter. Okay, good. Alright, so alright, we have our site here, the root web, and the master URL right now is set for Seattle.master. Oh, you know what we forgot to do. Okay. So this is actually working perfectly. but we didn't persist it. So what we need to do is, I always forget this, anytime we're dealing with SharePoint and you make any modification on any of the object model or any of the main objects in the object model, like the site collection or a web or a list, you have to update it. So we never updated it. So now I'm going to deploy this again. Let's close that. Okay, let's get that fired up. But that's good though, because we started out wrong. We started out using the default. We started out using a just a regular web feature or site feature, but we want it to be a site collection feature. So we changed that, and then that made us change this because our parent now is a site collection. And then once we change this master URL, which is the system URL, we need to update it. So let's see what happens now. So this has been deployed. Let's go to the site settings, and bingo, here we go. Here's our master page. If we go into the master page site setting, we can see that My Seattle has been selected. So the next thing that we can do is I'm going to make a copy of this. I didn't mean to open it, but I want to make a copy of that file. And I'm going to rename it. I'm going to make it my custom Seattle. Okay, and let's find that H1 tag. We'll just say this is my custom master page. So notice how though, well, let's deploy this first. So in my feature receiver, I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to get, I'm going to update the custom master URL. So site.rootweb.custom master URL equals same thing, this dot build master URL site dot rootweb custom Seattle dot master. Okay. Okay, now we're going to set both of them. Okay, so when we go to the site now, okay, we're set for, I have it set for both. That's interesting. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and deploy this again. We just made these changes. We updated the master URL. Now we're going to update the custom master URL. So you saw the system master page at the beginning. You're probably wondering, well, I have publishing turned on. Why is that? Well, it's because that home page is a wiki page, and so wiki pages use the system master page also. So the way we can demo this, so see here, still using the system master page, and that's fine. The way we can demo it is if we create a publishing page. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look at site settings again, just to make sure. Let's test. Okay, so this did not get set for the site master page. Okay, Why custom CL? Oh, okay. It wasn't deployed correctly. We forgot to update our elements file, so let's do that again. We're going to deploy that, and it's going to take a little while. Okay, so now it'll be deployed in the correct place. Actually, we need to do one more thing. We didn't make a go school. Now we're ready to deploy it. Okay, now we'll launch the site again. We're waiting for that to come up, so let's close some of our files here. We have this saved, so it should say this is my custom master page, but it won't show that until we build a publishing page. We don't have any publishing pages yet. Not that I know of. I may have built one before and I just didn't set it as a home page. So let me just check to see. In fact, you know what? We'll just build a publishing page. So we'll go to site contents, and let's see here. Oh, let's go to the pages library. I think there's one there. Yeah, I don't want to use that. Okay, I'm going to go back. Okay. I'm going to add a page. It's going to ask me what kind of page. So it's going to put it in the pages library, so it's a publishing page. So you can see here it's still showing this is my master page because that's the system. This is using the system master page here. So I'll just call it test master pages. I'll call it test custom master. So it's going to be test custom master.aspx. I'll say create. Let's put some content in here. And we need to save this. And also, we'll just publish it. Notice how it is in fact using the custom master page we use, because it's saying here, right here, this is my custom master page. So you can see the regular home page is using the system master page because it's a wiki page, and then the other page that we just created is using the custom one because we have set the custom master page, the custom master URL.